So after an amazing Christmas and New Year period with my landscape photography, I suddenly hit a little bit of a brick wall, to be honest, and this time it doesn't really have anything to do with lack of inspiration. In fact, it's pretty much the exact opposite. I've been spoiled. I've had so much inspiration. And you know, I think back to my awesome collaboration in the Peak District with Ian Worth, which was just an all-round wonderful experience. And then came my video about my Nikon D7200, which is currently sitting at over 100,000 views here on YouTube. And then of course we had that hugely inspiring trip to the Isle of Mull. And so I was kind of left pondering everything really, and just trying to figure out how I could possibly top all of that. And this is when I felt a little bit of pressure settling in. Now don't get me wrong, there's certainly nothing wrong with, you know, a little bit of pressure. However, this felt negative and it needed to be quashed. So I decided to spend the afternoon in my local landscapes with my camera, but without any expectations and zero pressure.
So yeah, no real expectations and definitely no pressure this week with my photography. And I think you'll find a lot of times if you go out with that sort of mindset, you'll end up getting your camera out and getting some decent photographs, and it's exactly what's happening in this situation really. You know, I've been able to walk around and I felt really relaxed, and I've spent a lot of time just in one area, just enjoying looking at the landscape, and ultimately it's led to me hopefully going to be getting a good photograph here. So I'm excited to talk you through this one. I'm doing something a little bit differently here as well. I'll talk you through my setup here to begin with. I'm using my 55 to 200mm lens, and I'm zoomed in at about 60mm, so I'm not massively zoomed in. You know, I've still got a fairly wide view of the landscape off there in the distance, which is nice. And then I've got a 3-stop ND grad filter on, which isn't really necessary. Like I've spoken a lot recently about the D7200. You know, it's got a good dynamic range, but I'm using this deliberately to darken the sky at the very, very top, just to sort of frame the image at the top, and it just makes the sky much more interesting in general, in my opinion. And ISO 100, f9, 1/60th of a second, but what I'm doing here, which is really important, is I'm keeping everything, you know, fairly still, and I'm keeping the same composition, and I'm taking a series of images. Because I mentioned we've got this beautiful fleeting light just making its way across the landscape, you know, foreground, midground, and the background. We've got the Wrekin right off there in the distance, and then another hill there called the Lawley, which is going to be on the sort of right hand side of my frame. I'm going to probably take, all in all, maybe around 20 shots here, just when the light's best in certain areas of the frame. And then what I'm going to do is put them all together in Photoshop as layers and just paint in the light where it's best in whatever image it was best in, if that makes any sense. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So the final image that I'm going to show you now is probably a series of, like I said, about 20 images, and I like to see it as a little bit of a moment in time. I've been stood here for around about 20-25 minutes now, and we've had some beautiful fleeting light, and hopefully that is all captured in this one photograph.
So after unexpectedly grabbing a pretty decent first image, I decided to continue up to the Long Mind and see if there was anything else worth getting my camera out for. And to my surprise, at the top I came across some beautiful and extremely photogenic wild horses. So we had some gorgeous winter light, a stunning backdrop in the Shropshire Hills, and some wonderful foreground interest in the horses. So I decided to do the honourable thing, get the camera out and do some handheld shooting.